This felt like a deep dive into book Twitter, into authors' messy lives, and I might need to go touch some grass now. Today I will be doing a review for Yellowface. This is the latest book from R.F. Kuang. I will be doing this review spoiler-free, but I will be talking about things that are mentioned in the synopsis of this book. So this book is about two women, June and Athena, who went to school together, were friends in school, and both were aspiring authors. They have since graduated. Athena has gone on to be a successful author. June has struggled to get any success in publishing at all, and they have also drifted apart, though they will still catch up every now and then. Both of them at the beginning of the story decide to hang out and have fun. They're over at Athena's and they decide to have a pancake eating contest, and Athena chokes on the pancake and dies in front of June. June, while she's in Athena's apartment, takes this manuscript that Athena had of the book that she has unpublished, steals it, and decides to publish it as her own. This book really seems to have two main things that it is trying to discuss. Firstly, where do we get our inspiration? Obviously, June is stealing Athena's work and using it as her own. June justifies this by saying, but I reworked this. I cut parts out and wrote my own stuff, and I edited the story in order to make it ready for publication. So it's really my work now. So June justifies stealing Athena's work and claiming it as her own because June has spent so much time working on this project. But that's not where the discussion ends. Obviously, June is doing something wrong. She's stealing someone else's story, but we also have the discussion of when does inspiration of someone else's story become stealing from that person? Because Athena also will take inspiration from people around her, from the stories of those around her, and then use those inspirations, those stories, and sometimes the very words of the people telling her them, and turn it into a fiction story that Athena wrote herself. So we have a lot of discussion about where is the line between plagiarism and stealing someone's story and creating a story yourself. The other major theme of the book is, of course, the title of the book, Yellowface. June is a white woman and Athena is a Chinese American. So Athena was writing a story about Chinese laborers during World War I, and June has now taken this manuscript and sold it as her own book. And in doing so, June is encouraged by her publisher to change her name to be something more racially ambiguous, and to select an author photo that makes her look more racially ambiguous. June defends herself, saying that she is not misleading people. She has never claimed to not be a white person, but she is misleading people with the encouragement of her publisher. Again, that is not where the questions end about taking on someone else's identity. At the same time, Athena has grown up in the United States and she does not speak Mandarin, and she has visited China a few times, but she's not intimately familiar with what it's like growing up in China, yet she is writing stories of people who live in China, who grew up in China. So at the same time, she's also writing an experience that she does not have herself. This is definitely not the story of a racist white woman sort of pretending to be Asian and a saintly Asian friend. Everyone in this story is messy. I'm pretty sure every single character we meet in the story is messy and at least somewhat problematic. This book is compulsively readable. There are so many shocking and seemingly over-the-top things that happen that just make the pages fly by. It also somewhat feels like you're delving into Twitter drama, mostly because there is a section in the middle of the book when June gets success from this book that she published, and then she gets some backlash from the bookternet. And we definitely see the cycle of drama on Twitter, and June is not in a good place to block that out, and she ends up engaging in it more than she should for her mental health. Even the person who ends up realizing that June stole the story and then exposing June for this doesn't do it in the best way. That person is also messy, and while she does have the right to say, hey, that wasn't your story, she goes about it in very questionable ways. I feel that a lot of the things discussed in this book were just that. They were discussed in the book. There were not answers handed to the reader saying, this is what you should think about this. It was more like, we should be thinking about all of these questions. Honestly, I expected this book to do more on the side of publishing. Whenever this was coming out, I kind of got the idea that this was going to be spilling all the tea on the juicy details of publishing. And while we do go through the publishing process of an entire book, and that was interesting to see, nothing that happened in the book seemed that shocking to me. But maybe that's because I've been around the book internet long enough that I've heard a lot of these things before. Publishing mostly cares about their bottom line. They care about making money. Even when publishers are trying to be inclusive, they're doing so in the name of making money, and only so far as it makes them money. So I feel like a lot of the scenarios that happened in this book on the publishing side of things weren't quite as shocking to me as I expected them to be, though it was really interesting to see the details from submitting a book to it being published. I think this is a really interesting book, and it discusses a lot of important questions and things that we should be thinking about and things that we should care about. Where do we get our inspiration? Who gets to tell what stories? That type of thing. I think these are good questions to discuss in the book community. At the same time, this book is very far outside the genres that I typically gravitate towards, and I think that detracted from my enjoyment a little bit. I'm not sure if I enjoy reading an entire book of messy people being messy, although I did get a lot of enjoyment out of reading this particular one. I would love to know, have you read Yellowface or any other books by R.F. Kuang, and what were your thoughts on them? Let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you in another video. Happy reading!